nowadays there's so much controversy. I mean, so many new ideas, so many new books coming out that all say, titled "The Truth Behind Islam," "The Truth Behind Christianity." You would have to read for years and years, and speak to loads of people to think that, no, this is the right answer. I mean, I don't think in your lifetime you can actually find the truth. I mean, I think the only person that does know the truth is God. And I think whatever path you've been given, you just follow it.
Now, on your table, you have got a set of cards, okay? I want you to put those cards in the middle of the table, take the elastic band off and turn them upside down. Very often in RE, there's a sense where we can make religions seem like they're pretty similar, really, and yet actually there's some very fundamental truth claims right at the heart of religions, and I want the students to have the opportunity to talk about those and to discuss those. Who read the card out leads a discussion asking people what they think and why. The particular challenges in that is that the group is made up of Christians, Hindus, Muslims, and people who wouldn't have a faith, and that they all have quite strong views. And so to get them talking about those things and to understanding it's fine to actually disagree, and it's fine to say, well, actually, I believe this is true, even though that means someone else's view may not be true, is okay. Truth, which is absolute, means that it's true whatever. Relative means then that Islam's true for you, Christianity's true for me. That's a relative truth. There's a very controversial issue at the heart of that, because a lot of people want to say, well, religions are basically the same. But I don't think, as an RE teacher, and I don't think my students would think either, that that's the case.
I don't really believe that they do teach the same thing, like maybe the main parts, as in like one God and stuff, but then what about Hindu books and Hinduism? They believe that they do have one God, but it's separated different types. So would that mean that you're saying that Christianity, Islam, in this diagram we've got Sikhism and Buddhism, are distinct paths? They're very different. Controversy is always going to come up in RE, because if you look at truth claims, or if you look at attitudes to abortion, you look at attitudes to marriage, attitudes to peace and conflict, there's always going to be controversy there. And it isn't possible to say, unlike in maths or some aspects of science, that this is true, this is fact, and this is wrong, and this is right.
Christianity, Bible, and the Quran, and one more that's extinct, basically. And I believe that it's just evolved in time. I think my friends at church find it quite hard to understand, that I'm here and I will be presenting. 1 week I might be talking about Jesus, and they'll be thinking, oh, that's fantastic. And then the next week I say, we're doing a series with Year 8 on Islam. And they, well, why are you doing that? That's not, and they find that quite hard to understand. And yet, I believe as Christians, we have to be confident in the fact that we present things fairly, we present things with integrity, and the young people will learn about those things. I think it's important that we know about the different faiths that were represented in Britain and around the world. But I think people at church find that hard to understand sometimes, because they think that as a teacher, I'll be in there trying to convert them. Right, yeah. And so I say, as a Christian, the Bible's true for me. So how does that work? Can they both be true? What do you think?
No, not really, because there's only one right religion.
There's only one right now. Yeah. So now we're getting to something quite controversial. So if there's only one right religion, which one is it?
We'll find out on Judgment Day.
So we'll find out on Judgment Day. So we can't know now.
No.
But you would probably say Islam, wouldn't you? Yeah. And I'd say Christianity. So there's a difference, though, isn't there? So Stephanie would say Christianity, and Jenny would say Hinduism. So the thing that's interesting as a teacher is you go in and you teach a subject very often, but you will end up being a form tutor. You will end up being you might teach some PSE or whatever, personal social education, and at some point there will be a student will ask you difficult questions, and you have to weigh up how you're going to answer those questions.
Do you believe that you will go to heaven because you're Christian? Only Christians will go to heaven. Right,
good question. If I look at the Bible, and I am a Christian who follows the Bible and reads the Bible, that is what I understand from what the Bible says. It says.
But you're an RE teacher as well.
I am an RE teacher, and I believe though as well, it's really important that I spend time encouraging people to think about all those issues around RE, and I also believe it's important that I treat, and I think this is very important, that I treat all the religions similarly and equal. I've always felt, since I started teaching, that I'm happy to be personal about what I believe about things, and what I think about things. And so I will share things that have perhaps made me what I am. And I think that can be controversial, or it can be, you could be a science teacher and I'm having to deal with what do you believe about creation? What do you believe about how the world started? And I think it's important to be ready for those sorts of questions and to have thought through them and to be ready to give a personal response as well as what you're perhaps giving from your subject's point of view.
In Islam, when you marry, the woman has to convert whatever religion she is, she has to convert.
Oh, right. And how did that go with the family? There are many times when I'm quite stunned with how the students either have thought about something and then respond to it, or then ask that deep question, which makes you think way deeper than you think. And every now and again, that question is one that goes deeper than you perhaps intended to. So you have the obvious question, well, how can you be a Christian or believe in God with all the suffering? But then sometimes you get something which just goes deeper than that, and it's really hard. How do you answer that? Or something personal, so you might be talking about death, and it's about the loss. My dad died quite recently, and so something which goes that bit further, and you're trying to think, well, how do I answer that? How do I communicate that with young people? And that's when you stop. And I think the great thing about RE is that I feel that you can keep on growing in understanding and questioning yourself as well. I always say to the young people, I want them to go away with more questions. Quite often I'll go away with more questions. And that question which was asked today about believing in Jesus as the way to salvation and being an RE teacher is something which I'm always thinking about, and how does that all work together? And it's something that I want to get right, I suppose.